Man Show. He's a monster on a mission to talk to lots of folks. Man Show.
Hey everybody, it's the Van Show! Ah, yeah! Oh my goodness, we are super excited because we not only have a great author on here today, but we've got her little special friend here, the Terese. We've got Terese. Say hello, Allie.
Hi, everybody.
Hey, we're so happy to have you here. Thank you for bringing Terese as well.
Oh, we're so thrilled to be here. Thank you.
Yeah. And we'll get to Terese in a minute, but first we want to talk about you, because you are the artist.
Oh, thank you.
Yes. I mean, I imagine Terese is like the muse, but you are the artist.
Yes, I'm the one who actually wrote the book.
That's right.
Yes, she's my muse. That's wonderful.
Although I imagine Terese likes to take credit.
Yeah, it's hard to type with your fallopian tubes. So.
You can just do like 2 letters at a time.
Yeah.
Awesome. So thank you for coming on the show. We want to learn a little bit about you. So first of all, tell us where you're from.
So I was born in New York City.
Fern. Speaking of Fern. That's right. We've got our own little Fern here,
Hi,
Fernie. What, Fernie?
Yeah. Oh, sorry, Fernie.
Yeah, Fernie the Fern.
Nice.
Yes. And Fernie was telling me earlier, Fernie was so stoked because Fernie loves your book.
Thank you, Fernie.
Yes. No. What's that? Yeah. Menstrual equity is really important to Fernie. I mean, I know ferns don't have a menstrual cycle, but you know what? Something you don't know about ferns, and maybe the people out there don't know about ferns. Ferns are very caring, and they care about other people, other species, just as much as they care about their own. They're kind.
That is wonderful, because the only way we get to having period or menstrual equity is if everybody cares about it, whether they're ever going to have a period or not.
Right? Like uterus or no, like you've got a say in this, right?
Yeah.
You've got a voice that can advocate for menstrual equity.
Absolutely. So even if you're not going to have a period, you can learn about the issue, and you can say that in your school, you want there to be pads for everybody who does have a period.
Exactly. Yeah, I love that. Now before because we're getting a little ahead of ourselves.
Okay.
I want to rewind the clock a little bit, because I want to hear your pathway to being an artist. You're an artist, a writer, and I'd like to hear, when did you realize that you liked writing, and when did you realize maybe I could make money doing this, and then talk about getting published?
So it was really in school that I realized I love writing. And I was so appreciative of our teachers giving us assignments to write stories. Because I feel like sometimes, like if you're just on your own, maybe the story isn't going to come out, but those deadlines help. And I've also felt that as a grown-up. If I have a deadline, I'm much more likely to get the story done.
Yeah. I get that. I'm a lot the same, where if I'm not obliged to somebody else to get something done, this is terrible, but I don't mind letting myself down, but I really can't let other people down.
That's perfect. I love it. And then, as far as being a grown-up in writing, I was one of those people who would constantly be arguing with TV and movies.
Oh.
And being like, oh, that doesn't make sense. I could do that better. And then finally one day I said, well, why don't I see if I actually can? And it turns out I love writing stories as a grown-up too, just as much as I did as a kid. And so I'm so glad that I got to publish a novel with Scholastic now.
That's good. So tell me about the process. So did you decide I'm going to write a novel? I'm going to do this. I'm going to, or did this start as a short story that spun out of control into a novel, or tell me about that process?
This particular one, so it's not the first one I wrote. This is probably the 5th story I wrote.
Oh, wow.
And this one started out as a novel. So I asked myself, what if 2 best friends who were complete chaos monsters, speaking of monsters.
Yeah.
So if they were complete chaos
you're
monsters.
Speaking my language.
What if they had totally different experiences with their periods? How would that look? And then that is what happened as I was writing. I basically came up with the words that are in this book.
Excellent. Now, am I wrong? Is this the first book you've had published?
Yes. So I think that's with a lot of creative people, you'll make a lot of art, but maybe the art that's shared with the world isn't the first thing that you made.
Now, is this the first thing that you actually sent out to be published, or did you try with some of the other ones and you got some rejections? What was that like?
No, I tried for 4 projects before this, and I had probably 400 rejections. So I'm another example of those artists that you just keep going and hopefully eventually it works out.
I love artists.
Yes.
Thank you so much. You're wonderful.
Thanks.
Yeah. So tell us about the book you got published.
So it's called Free Period. It's a middle grade novel of friendship and period equity that's out with Scholastic now. And it's about two best friends who, like I said, are absolute chaos monsters. They're total pranksters. And they get in trouble for their pranks. And they're assigned to care about something, which for them is the worst thing on earth, because they just want to hang out and have fun. But through their punishment, they eventually make their way to this fight in their school for period equity and getting maxi pads in all school bathrooms for all students who menstruate. And this is the fun thing. What they find is that the antics that always got them in trouble, they actually make people laugh and have fun and feel welcome in the movement. So that because of their work, you have people having fun along with all the facts and figures that show we need pads in bathrooms the same way that we need toilet paper and soap.
Wow. I love it. And I imagine like you are also a menstrual equity activist.
Yeah,
yourself.
This is a super important issue to me because I grew up with so much pain and shame around my period as a kid. And so this book, it was a way for me to both heal like that kid part of me and as a good way to talk about periods as a parent. And what I hope is that the friends that got me through periods when I was younger, I hope this book can be that kind of friend for kids today.
That's wonderful. Not only that, but I imagine inspire them to not only feel comfortable with their bodies, but to become activists for other people as well.
I hope so, and it doesn't have to just be about period equity. I hope that this book reminds kids they can use their voices right now to create change. There is nothing more powerful than a child who wants to change the world and is brave enough to do it.
I love that. Now I want to ask you a question. You know, it's kind of global, so like, what's your opinion on this? But why do you think something that happens to half of the global population has such a stigma around it and is so controversial?
I think it's because most of our society has treated women and like people who menstruate as kind of second-class citizens. We haven't built our society and our schools and everything else with women in mind. So that's why we're having to add pads on later versus treating them like toilet paper and soap the way we do because both men and women use them.
Yeah, but I mean, it's half of the world. I mean,
yeah, I know.
It's so
Monster
frustrating.
math.
Well, I'm just happy that you're here, like fighting the good fight and inspiring others to do the same.
Thank you.
Now, you brought a friend with you today.
I did. I brought the Texas Cuterus.
Hello, Cuterus.
So I've been making crochet uteruses for about 20 years for my friends.
Cool.
And I originally learned to crochet from my grandma when I was a little girl. So when I was writing about periods, I said, oh, can I get these in the book? And it turns out that crochet uteruses like this one play a crucial role in the plot of Free Period.
Really?
Yes. And if anyone watching wants to make one, you can go to my author website, Terese.com, because I've made kid-friendly patterns so that everybody can make their own cuterus to have at home.
I love that. That's so incredible. Now, does Texas Cuterus have a name?
No, we stick with uterus.
Uterus. Okay, uterus. Uterus the cuterus.
Yes.
Or is it cuterus the uterus?
I don't know which I like better. I think it can go both ways.
I love that. That's so cool. And so are you a crocheter? Like, is this another passion of yours?
Yes, it is a huge passion of mine. My grandmother had that theory that a blanket is like a hug from the person who made it.
Aww.
So I try to put some love into everything I make and share with the people that I care about.
I love that. Oh, you're so awesome. So, you know, I have another question about you tied to the book. But I was wondering, when you were in middle school, were you a bit of an activist, a bit of an agitator?
We did a lot of pranks, and like what happens in this book, they always go wrong. They seem like the best idea at the time, like this is going to be amazing, and then afterwards, as you're sitting in either detention or grounded or whatever, and you're like, what were we thinking? But for some reason, it never stopped the next one.
No. If you would like to play a game with me.
I would love to play a game with you.
Oh, yeah?
Yeah.
Okay, we're going to play a game called Truth or Dare. Have you played before?
I have played before.
Okay, so you know the rules.
Yes.
So let's get started. Do you pick truth or do you pick dare?
I pick truth.
Ooh, you pick truth. Okay, I got one. What scares you the most?
Bugs.
Bugs?
Bugs terrify me.
Like all bugs?
Literally every single bug.
Even the really big ones?
Okay, like I don't even know if I could talk about the really big ones.
I'm sorry.
But even the pretty ones, like
Okay.
butterflies, oh, how joyous and wonderful. Like I need to like melt into the earth.
Well, Allie, thank you so much for coming on the show.
Thank you so much for having me. This is the best time ever.
Oh, this is so wonderful.
And thank you for everything you do to promote reading and make kids so happy.
Oh, thank you. Well, thank you for not only promoting reading by writing books. I mean, authors are kind of important in that role, but also for bringing awareness to menstrual equity, and also bringing awareness to middle schoolers that their voice matters and they can do things to make changes.
Yes, absolutely.
3. Goodbye.
Bye.
Dance show, dance show.